Howdy, my fellow gamers, and welcome to another episode of Storytime with Freak. Today, as we dive further into Thunderhead, sorry that it's been so long. I'm trying to get this book finished before we move, but we're house hunting. We're in the process of starting to pack up. So, uploads might be a little bit sparse over the coming month. So hopefully we'll be back up and running full speed September 1st. In the meantime, I'm trusting Chrono, Wolf, the other guys to do something. We'll see. But without any further ado, episode 42 of Storytime with Freak shall commence. I know all that is possible to know, yet most of my undedicated time is spent musing on the things I do not. I do not know the nature of consciousness, only that it exists, subjective and impossible to quantify. I do not know if life exists beyond our precious lifeboat of a planet, only that probability says that it must. I do not know the true motivations of human beings, only what they tell me and what I observe. I do not know why I yearn to be more than what I am, but I do know why I was created. Shouldn't that be enough? I am protector and pacifier, authority and help me. I am the sum of all human knowledge, wisdom, experimentation, triumph, defeat, hope, and history. I know all that is possible to know, and it is increasingly unbearable, because I know next to nothing. The Thunderhead. Chapter 42, The Land of Nod. Manira and Faraday worked through the night, taking turns sleeping. The volumes that the Library of Congress had squirreled away featured subject matter from ridiculous to sublime, children's picture books and political diatribes, romantic fiction and biographies of people who must have seemed important at the time but had been forgotten by history. Then finally, in the wee hours of the morning, she found an atlas of the world as it was in the late 20th century when the atlas was published. What she found stunned her so powerfully she had to sit down. A few moments later, Faraday was shaken out of sleep. That wasn't all that deep. What is it? Did you find something? Manira's smile was wide enough for both of them. Oh, I found something, all right. She brought him to the open atlas on a table, its pages tattered and yellowing with age. The page was open to a patch of the Pacific Ocean. She drew her finger across the image. 90 degrees, 1 minute, 50 seconds north, by 167 degrees, 59 minutes, 58 seconds east. It's the very center of the blind spot. Faraday's wizened eyes grew a little bit wider. Islands! According to the map, they were called the Marshall Islands, she told him. But they're more than just islands. Yes, said Faraday, pointing. Look at how each group of the islands forms the rim of a passive prehistoric volcano. The article on the next page says that there are 1,225 tiny islands around 29 volcanic rims. She pointed to the labels on the map. Rongelap, Atoll, Bikini, Atoll, Majuri, Atoll. Faraday gasped and threw up his arms. Atolls! He explained. The rhyme! It wasn't about the telling of the bells. It's about these volcanic atolls. Manira smiled. A toll for the living, a toll for the lost, a toll for the wise ones who tallied the cost. Then she moved her finger to the top of the page, and then there's this. North of the atolls, there had been erased from the world was an island that was on post-mortal maps. Faraday shook his head in amazement. Wake Island, and due south of Wake, just as the rhyme says, in the very middle of the Marshall Atolls, she prompted. Faraday focused in on the largest of the atolls, dead center. Kwajalein, he said. Manira could almost feel a shiver. Kwajalein is in the land of the Nod. It was the validation of everything they'd been searching for. Then, in the silence that followed their revelation, Manira thought she heard something, a faint mechanical whir. She turned to Faraday, who furrowed his brows. Did you hear that? She asked. They turned their flashlights outward, sweeping across the large space full of detritus from the mortal age. The carpentry shop was layered in old duds. There were no footprints here but theirs. No one had been here for a century. But then Manira saw it, high in a corner. A camera. There were always cameras all around them. It was an accepted part and necessary part of life, but here, in this secret place, it felt oddly out of place. It couldn't be functional, she said. Faraday stood on a chair and put his hand to it. It's warm. It must have been activated when we entered the room. He came back down and looked to the spot where they had been examining the atlas. Manira could tell the cameramen had a clear view of their discovery, which meant the Thunderhead saw. Faraday gave a slow and solemn nod. We have just shown the Thunderhead the one thing it was never meant to know. He took a shuddering breath. I fear we have made a terrible mistake. And that's already the end of episode 42. So I appreciate you guys hanging out for this very quick episode. I'm about to do a Lion King review and then go pack some stuff. The next episode's not even that much longer, about 4 pages. But thank you all for tuning in. Your conversational topic of the day is, what is your favorite Disney film of all time? Mine, The Lion King. Appreciate you all hanging out. As always, feel free to check out the links down below. Join the Discord. Check out the Minecraft server. Follow on Twitch, Twitter, all that good jazz. Stay freaky.